trying to... Oh.
Hey, Mr. Sam.
Hey.
What you doing?
Well, okay, so I was trying to make like this beautiful vase here.
Yeah.
For my mom, and but I think the clay is messed up because I started trying to make it, and then now it's like it's broken. The clay is broken.
That's really weird. That normally happens if you leave it out for a couple days. That doesn't. Was it like that coming out of the package?
Yes, it was. Yep, really hard and stuff.
Wow. That's strange. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
That's really weird. I'm sorry about that. Because that actually reminds me of something that we're talking about. Because we're talking about like not covering up our own wrongs, but being quick to ask for forgiveness. And that's something that if you don't do right away, it actually gets worse and worse. Just like the clay. If you leave it out, it gets worse and worse.
Really?
Yeah. Do you remember what forgiveness is?
You can remind me.
Okay, ready? It goes like this. Forgiveness is clearing the record of those who have wronged me and not holding a grudge. You want to do that with me?
Sure, let's try it.
Ready?
Forgiveness is clearing the record of those who have wronged me and not holding a grudge.
Why don't we go learn more about that?
All right, sounds good. All right, so here we have a jar of dirt. And this jar is it can represent something, maybe we have a friendship, right? But we've done something wrong in that friendship. And so we've made that friendship kind of gross and kind of icky. So maybe it's something we are rude to our parents, or maybe we called our sibling names, or maybe we did something wrong to a friend. Okay, but whatever it is, we've caused them to be hurt. And so something bad is going on with them. So maybe they're feeling angry, or maybe they're feeling embarrassed, or maybe they're feeling really sad about what we've done. And we want to make it right. All right, now sometimes we try and do the right thing, but in the wrong way. So something you could try and do is try and hide the problem. So you could just hide it and then just pretend it's not there. And that's kind of like if we were to tell them, just act like nothing's wrong. Or we just pretend that nothing happened. But does that really solve the problem? No, it doesn't. We still have this issue, this problem right here. What's something else we could do? We could try and do something nice for them. So we could try and fix it. And by doing something nice, right? So maybe we don't ask for forgiveness, but we give them some candy. Or we try and be nicer to them. Or we try and invite them to do things with us. But does that help anything either? No, the problem is still here, right? So what's the answer? What's the way to fix this? Well, what we have to do is we have to open up that problem, we have to go to them, and we have to ask for forgiveness. And what that does is that gets all the junk out of there. All right, and then we go back in, and we let them know that we're sorry for what we did, and that we'll do our best not to let that happen again. And so when we do that, when we ask for forgiveness, that helps us fix the problem. Now, there might still be some consequences, which means some things that are going to happen that maybe aren't very nice. So maybe even though we say our sorry, maybe that they're still hurt. They still feel hurt. But when we choose to ask for forgiveness, then that is the way that we can start healing that relationship. So I want you guys to think about, if there's somebody that you've hurt and there's hurt in their life because of you, how can you begin the process of asking for forgiveness? All right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to go and see how some friends actually learned the steps of forgiveness.
Once upon a time, there were two best friends, Charlie and Tommy. They did everything together. They went to school together, they ate together, they hung out after school, they played video games together, they watched. There were so many things that they did together. They just loved to be together. But one day, all of that changed. They were over Tommy's house, and Charlie was playing with Tommy's favorite controller. And Tommy ran downstairs to get a snack, and he was in the kitchen, and Charlie was playing the game when the controller flew out of his hands and fell onto the floor. Now, when it hit the floor, it fell into 1,000,000 pieces, and Charlie was devastated. What was he going to do? So he quickly picked up the pieces, and he put them all in a pile, and then he kind of hid it under the bed, and then ran out the door. He hollered goodbye to Tommy and ran towards his home. Now, when Charlie was running home, he was thinking about their friendship, and he knew that he felt really bad about what he had done to the controller, and he started thinking about how their friendship was kind of like that controller. Now it felt like it had fallen apart into a million pieces.
So Charlie had a choice. He could keep walking home, or he could turn around and make it right. Now, lucky for him, there are 4 steps to forgiveness, and so he could choose to take those steps to make his friendship right with Tommy again. So the first step that he'd have to take would be to go right away. And so he would have to choose to turn around and go right back to the home, to Tommy's house, or continue on going home. So even though some of us, maybe we would be afraid to do that, or we would think we'd be embarrassed to have to tell our friend that we did something and broke one of their things, or maybe we would choose to try and wait and see if maybe he would forget. But Charlie chose to actually do it right away, and he was going to begin to make that right. And so even though he didn't want to, and even though he was scared, he chose to turn around, and he started heading back to Tommy's house.
The next step in asking for forgiveness is to admit that what you did was wrong. Now, as Charlie went back, he had a choice. He could go to Tommy and admit that he broke the controller, or he could try to blame it on somebody else. Maybe he could blame it on the dog. He could make up some story about the dog knocking it out of his hands, or maybe a little sister coming and playing with it. But he decided that he was going to take the second step and admit his part in what had happened and admit that he broke the controller.
And that brings us to step number 3, which is to not make excuses. So at this point, Charlie can come to Tommy and say, "Hey, Tommy, I was the one that broke your controller. But you've broken my toys before too, so now we're even." Or he could have said, "Yeah, I broke your controller, but you can afford to get a new one." But he chose not to make any excuses. And so what he said when he came to Tommy, he said, "Hey, Tommy, I was the one that broke your controller, and I'm really sorry. It was an accident, but it was my fault."
The last step in asking for forgiveness is to accept the consequences. Charlie knew there might be some consequences for telling Tommy what had happened. Maybe Tommy wouldn't even want to be his friends anymore. Maybe he would have to pay for the controller, and that would take a lot of money. He wasn't really sure what the consequences would be, what would happen if he admitted what went on. But he decided that no matter what happened, he was going to tell the truth and ask for forgiveness. So he went and he told Tommy what had happened, and he said he offered to pay for it. Now, thankfully, Tommy still wanted to be Charlie's friend, and he said, "Don't worry about it." But Charlie decided that he was going to take all the money he'd been saving up and buy a new controller. And even though it took him a long time to save that money, he bought Tommy a brand new controller because he knew that what he had done was wrong.
So if you've done something like that, maybe you have broken something like Charlie did, or maybe you were mean to someone, you can use those 4 steps to forgiveness to help put that relationship back together again. So you can choose to go back right away, and then you can choose to admit what you did was wrong. And then step number 3 is you can choose not to make any excuses. And then step number 4, you can choose to accept the consequences, which means some of the bad things that might have to happen or the things that you don't like. So just like Charlie, we can choose to ask forgiveness, and we can actually have our relationship with that friend or with that brother or with my mom or my dad, we can have that relationship come back together again. And so just like them, they were able to be friends again because Charlie did the right thing and he chose to ask for forgiveness. So now we're going to take some time and we're going to learn more about forgiveness with our rhyme time.
Welcome to Character Rhyme Time. So last time we were here, we learned the first part of our character rhyme. So let's review that to make sure we remember it. So it starts out with, "I will not let hurt and bitterness." Okay, here we go.
I will not let hurt and bitterness destroy my life and friends.
I will choose to show forgiveness, and I will not seek revenge.
Very
Whoa,
good.
excellent job.
So the next part goes like this. I will ask forgiveness quickly when I realize I've done wrong.
Are you ready to try that? I will ask forgiveness quickly when I realize I've done wrong.
And Miss Claire said this is super important because whenever we realize we've done wrong and ask forgiveness quickly, we can stop a situation from getting even bigger. So it's important that we realize that, oops, you know what? Maybe I said an unkind word and I go and ask that person for forgiveness because that keeps relationships from being broken and hurt and causing a situation to grow even bigger. So let's say that part. I will ask forgiveness quickly together.
I will ask forgiveness quickly when I realize I've done wrong.
Very good. The next part goes, I will try as much as possible to always get along.
Let's try that. I will try as much as possible to always get along.
And this is important because when we are trying to get along with other people, that doesn't mean that we go along with things that aren't right to do, but that means that we are doing our part to have, to choose to have a good attitude, to choose to be kind with our words, with our actions. Maybe that's sharing a toy with a friend, but doing our part to get along with other people and to be friends with them. So
That's really great, Miss Elizabeth. Should we try that section
we should
together?
try that section together.
Okay.
Yes, so it says,
I will try as much as possible to always get along.
Very good. Let's put the whole thing together.
So those two sections we just learned.
both of those.
And remember, it starts with...
So is I will ask forgiveness quickly.
Okay.
I will ask forgiveness quickly when I realize I've done wrong.
I will try as much as possible to always get along.
Very good.
Yeah, it was great. Do you think, let's review that part one more time,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll put the first part that we learned with the second part.
Yes,
Okay.
that is such a great idea. All right, so I will ask forgiveness quickly.
I will ask forgiveness quickly when I realize I've done wrong. I will try as much as possible to always get along. That was really great. Let's see if we can put the first part with the second part.
Okay, here we go. I will not let hurt and bitterness.
I will not let hurt and bitterness destroy my life and friends. I will choose to show forgiveness, and I will not seek revenge. I will ask forgiveness quickly when I realize I've done wrong. I will try as much as possible to always get along. That was pretty
amazing.
good. Let's do it one more time,
All right.
just so you can remember it for a whole week.
Here we go.
I will not let hurt and bitterness destroy my life and friends. I will choose to show forgiveness, and I will not seek revenge. I will ask forgiveness quickly when I realize I've done wrong. I will try as much as possible to always get along.
That was amazing. We will see you next time on Character Rhyme Time.
Once there was a father and a son. They enjoyed spending time together. The father told his son stories.
Son, do you remember that time when we were out fishing and I caught that fish that was like this big?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was
You told me
amazing.
that story.
Yeah. I think you're too young to remember anyway, but it was a good time.
At night, they studied the constellations.
Now, right over there, let's see. Oh, there's the North Star. And you come this way. There's the Big Dipper.
Uh-huh.
No, it's not. It's the other way around. There's the Big Dipper, and you follow it up, and there's the North Star. There it is.
Uh-huh.
And during the days, they played catch.
Hey, you want to play some catch?
Sure.
Okay, grab your glove.
Hour after hour, they tossed their favorite ball back and forth.
Good catch. Oh, man, this is so fun.
Yeah. Right back at you, Dad.
Oh, boy.
The father loved the son.
Oh,
and
man,
the
I just
son
love being with you,
I love
son.
you too, Dad.
loved the father. One sunny morning, the father said, "Come with me, son. I have a job I need you to do."
Come on, son. Today we can't play ball, but I've got a really important job for you to do.
Okay, Dad, what's that?
Well, let me get the seed here. I've got a special job out in the field. Come on, let's go.
He led his son out to a small field and said, "I want you to plant these seeds here."
Now, son, here's some seeds right here. They're super important for our farm. And so what you're going to do is you're going to take them And you're going to plant them real carefully in rows. So starting right here,
Rows?
you're going to make a row that goes down there. You're going to come over 2 feet and make another row that goes straight down there. And go over 2 more feet and come straight down there. And then you're going to plant them about a foot apart.
He showed his son how to keep the seeds straight.
So what you do, you bend over, put it in the ground just like that. Come over a foot, put it down, put it in just like that, all the way down.
But the son began to whine. Today's my day. My friends and I were going to go play baseball.
Dad, today I was gonna go play baseball with my friends.
Oh, I know, son, it's so disappointing, but see, the problem is with seed, you have to plant it at the right time, because otherwise we're going to miss the harvest at the end. So I know it's disappointing that you want to play baseball, but it's going to have to wait for today, okay? And I need this whole field planted, because I need to go to a different field and work over there today.
With that, the father stood up and left.
Okay, thanks, son.
Bye, Dad.
The boy stood staring after him for a moment, but then he began to poke the seeds into the dirt. He hadn't gotten very far when the sounds of a lively baseball game caught his attention. The crack of the bat and the cheering crowd made it difficult to concentrate on his study. As he continued planting seeds, he became more and more distracted. I wish I could just get rid of these seeds, he thought.
These seeds.
What at first was a mere passing thought now occupied his every thought. Maybe I could just get rid of the seeds. Oh, I wish I could play baseball.
Man, if only I didn't have these seeds.
Finally, he jumped up and ran to a tree in the back of the field. He tossed the seeds under the tree and dashed back to the house to get his baseball glove. Before long, he was on the baseball field playing with his friends. That night at dinner, his father asked his son a question. Son, did you plant those seeds like I asked?
Son, did you plant those seeds today like I asked you to?
The son looked down at his plate. His face got hot and red. Suddenly, his food tasted like sawdust, and after a big gulp of water, he stammered, "Yes, Dad."
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, thanks so much, son. I really appreciate you doing that. Our farm depends on that.
Great, replied the father. After dinner, we can play catch.
Yeah, that's right. We can go play catch after dinner.
But the son looked at his plate again. He couldn't look his father in the eye. Not tonight, Dad. I don't feel too well.
Yeah, I don't feel too good today.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, well, maybe tomorrow then.
Yeah.
But the next day wasn't any better for the son. Would you like to play catch this morning? Asked the father.
Hey, it's a beautiful day. You want to go play some catch?
No, not today, Dad.
The son muttered as he kind of walked away. Still, he couldn't look his father in the eye. This surprised the father. He knew how much his son loved to play catch and was wondering what was wrong with him.
Man, I wonder what's wrong. Like, we love to play catch together.
Now, every morning, the father watered his small field before he did the rest of the chores. As time went by, he began to wonder why the little green sprouts didn't push up through the dirt. After a few weeks passed, he was very perplexed, gazing across the field, thinking about what could have happened to the seeds.
What in the world? What could have happened? They're all gone.
Then he noticed something peculiar growing near the tree in the back corner of the field. Suddenly, he knew what had happened to the seeds. Under the tree, slender shoots seemed to be waving at him.
I think I know what happened.
Son, come here, he called.
Hey, son, come here a second.
He took his son by the arm, and the two of them walked back to the tender
Here,
young plants
Come over
growing under
here.
the tree.
We need to look at something over in the field.
Tell me again, did you plant the seeds like I asked you to?
Did you plant those seeds like I asked you to?
Yeah, Dad. Just like you said.
Because, look at this tree right over here. Corn stalks just don't grow under the trees by themselves. And this field, look all around, there's no corn here.
When the son saw that he was caught, he said, "You know, Dad, I threw them under the tree, and then I went and played baseball. I'm so sorry. Will
Yeah,
you
Dad,
forgive me?"
I threw them over at the tree, and instead of planting, when I went to play baseball, I'm sorry, Dad. Will you forgive me?
Yes, son, I forgive you.
Thank you for finally telling me the truth. But now you have to make right the wrong that you did.
That's right. You're going to have to make things right. You know, there are consequences, even though you asked forgiveness, and I'm so proud of you for telling me the truth. But now you're going to have to take all those plants and come back and plant them very carefully in the rows that originally they're supposed to go in.
Once more, the father went in the soft dirt, and this time he showed the son how to carefully uproot the plants and carry them across the field and replant them.
So you have to carefully pick them out, take them one at a time, and now dig a spot here, put it there, pack it in, then come over here, dig another spot, pack that in, all the way down. It's going to take a long time, but be very, very careful, and you can have it done right.
The son diligently started digging up the plants. He was surprised to see his father helping him. Hour after hour,
I'll
they
do
dug
this
and
row.
carried and replanted. Many of the plants were large, and it was tricky to protect all the roots. The hot sun was beating down on them.
Boy, it's hot out here.
Just like the story of the farmer and his son, a lot of times when we leave things, it just keeps getting worse and worse. So we need, instead of hiding things, to be quick and ask for forgiveness right away.
Yeah, so Miss Vic, that reminds me. So earlier I said that like the clay that I was using, I said like it must have been messed up from like the manufacturer and
I can't
stuff.
believe you bought it that way.
Yeah, well, okay, so the real thing is that I was working on it and then I was late and so I left it there and then it hardened and so that's why it was like that. And so I was just realizing that I needed to let you know what I did and then ask for forgiveness for telling you that that's not how it happened.
Wow, well, thanks for being so quick to ask for forgiveness, and I definitely forgive you.
Great. Well, thanks. Cool. So that's great. So for you guys, if there's something that you've done that is wrong, you can choose to ask for forgiveness and use the steps to forgive. And so I'd encourage you to do it right away. So as you think of it, if you can think of something that you can ask forgiveness for, then do it. Use those 4 steps and do it. Don't wait. Ask for forgiveness today.